You tell me. We discuss it. If we're both okay, you go with it, okay?
Nice.
Now, you decide, by the way. I propose to you things. I make comments, I propose. Then you decide, because you have your own idea, right? So view me as a coach, not as the one deciding for you, but as making propositions or comments about what you're going to do. So this way we're going to analyze the questions, yes? Emil, I propose you move one sit on this side, because this is, wow, you know, it's really tourism raining on it. After mom and dad, it's boy and girl. Okay, no problem. Mom and dad, mom and daughter is boy and girl. Okay, all right. So, but he'll be there after, don't worry. You know. So, okay, so this way you write down comments, questions, and when it's over, you break out of your vow of silence. I know a number of you come back from Berkeley, so they have vow of silence. That's why they don't even raise their hand to do things. Okay, and you write things. Okay? So, we're ready? Okay, so let's start our business. You tell me everything you want to ask him. You tell me.
I'm going to ask him what's his question.
Well, you see, instead of asking what's your question, because maybe you don't have a question and it's a bit heavy. Well, that's good. Well, do you have a question? You see, the question, heavy. A question. Okay. See, you see the difference?
Yeah.
Between you have the question, like it's wow. You just have a question. So at some moments you gotta make it as not too heavy, right? Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Have you got any question?
Yes. How can I make my philosophical consultations better?
Can somebody ask the people to speak over there? Either they speak far away or they come in here, they don't speak, but not
consultation.
Better.
So, dear colleague, what do we do with that?
Well, I would ask if you can imagine some way to make things better.
Okay, so if he has some kind of hypothesis.
Yes.
To answer that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Have you got that?
Just one thing. See, in those cases you have two possibilities. Either you go on to why he's asking that question, what's the reason, what's his word, or right away to answer the question, right? So you propose that he answers the question, but it's always the two possibilities. Either you go like before, what's before the question, what is, could be the origin of the question, or what is an answer to the question, right? Okay. Do you prefer the answer then?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go with the pragmatic perspective. Okay, ask him.
Have you got any hypothesis that makes things better?
Yes. I should stay less emotional and less into my desires and more philosophical, logical.
Stop it, don't let him go on. This guy especially, that kind of client, they're going to get one question, will answer for a half hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would ask why he thinks that the emotional would be a barrier.
Okay, go.
What do you think that emotions or to be emotional could be a barrier for your improvement?
Because when I'm emotional, when I'm obsessed with my desire to solve the problem, to get the result, I no longer rationalize with the client, and
Don't let him go on.
Okay.
Why do you let him say all these things? You got an answer, cut him. I was going to run different hairs at the same time, So just, he give you a thing, don't be and. Boom, you know, right? And we work on that, okay? Because you know why you let him give all these answers?
No, tell me.
Well, no. You do it, right?
Yes,
Yes, it's, you gotta, you ever do horseback riding? Ride horses?
Yes.
That means no. But yes, that means no.
3 times.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not an expert. Yeah.
Okay, but you have to hold the reins tight.
Yes.
If you don't hold the reins tight, the horse just goes wherever, you know?
Right.
Reins tight, legs, not tight, because always going to accelerate. But it's just, you got to have a firm thing, right? And then it's good. It stabilizes the clients. We don't get too much stuff. Make things calmer. Yeah, is that hard for you? Okay,
Yes.
Okay, yes. So try to do it. When you think, as soon as you think, especially because he wants to speak a lot, as soon as you got it, something looks like an answer, stop. Right?
Okay.
And then you could even ask him, why do you want to add things? You want to examine that, right? Okay?
Okay.
Good. But keep the reins tight. Good? Let's try that. Okay, anyhow. So, he told us that...
He told us that his emotions are avoiding the rational thinking.
Okay, so what do you want to know from him?
Why he thinks that emotional and rational are opposite.
Well, I think you invite him now to philosophize, and that's not the idea. He gave you, do you notice he gave you a specific emotion? Do you notice? Or no?
I did to be in a rush.
No. Do you notice that he gave you the name of an emotion?
No.
Twice he said the word. You never heard it?
No.
Twice he mentioned it. Desire.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
But you didn't tilt. You didn't, right? And it's important because emotion is a very vague thing. Emotion could be love, can be anger. Emotion is a very vague concept, right? But then he gave you his desire,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So he has two opposition, desire, and be philosophical, right? Or rational on the other side. See? But that's why I always look for concepts, because concept, for 2 reasons. First of all, it clarifies what the other person is saying. Second, in your head, it's a small word, it's easy to remember, and you're clear. You see? Do you know why you didn't hear desire?
No, I heard. I even wrote it. But I put it useless.
What useless?
No, I didn't put useless, but it was the second part of the sentence, so I stuck with emotional and not with
You
desire.
get stuck. Okay, his explanation.
Yeah.
I'm your friend. I'm your coach.
Thank you very much.
Coach is a friend. Okay, so you got stuck. Fine. Okay, but let's go. What with this desire rational? What do you propose to him?
I would say, what's your desire? But
Well, yeah. Why do you sabotage yourself? Yeah. Repeat the question.
what's your desire?
Yeah. So, well, why do you say, oh, it's no good? What's wrong with that?
Because it's to improve philosophical skill.
Yeah. So.
What's your desire?
No, wait. Yeah, come on. Let's enjoy it for a minute. No. So, where's the problem?
So it's something we just know. We already know.
Yeah, but we discovered desire stops him from doing better philosophical skills, right? So don't you think we should know what his desire is? Maybe he only thinks about, I don't know, he wants a woman. And every time he sees a client, he says, oh God, how can I date this person, you know? Or maybe he thinks about the money. How much money can I get for this person? It's not the same desire, you know? Right?
All right.
Maybe he thinks, his desire is, I hope that this person loves me. You see? So we're going to discover what desire stops him from being effective. Is that interesting? Or
Yes.
no?
Yes.
But why did you want to throw it away? It was your baby. Why? Why did you want to abort?
I was wrong.
All right.
It was inescapable.
You agree it's a good idea?
No, yes, I agree.
That your idea is good,
Yes.
and the guy that doesn't like your idea is wrong? It's a good history. Okay, so how are you going to ask him that?
What's your desire? What do you desire?
Yeah, I'll give you a little trick on this. Always ask main, because this guy's going to give you a list of 25 things. So your main, always use a main, the principle. I always use this thing to make sure I get one, especially with these talkers, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you say your main desire?
Result?
Result. Now, do you see the crazy thing we have in front of us? Do you see it? No, do you see it or no?
No.
Well, this guy wants to be efficient.
Yeah.
And what stops him being efficient is a desire. And what is the desire? Is to be efficient. Well, it's a loop, you can call it a loop, or you can call it a crazy system. No, but it's vicious. I'm saying that it's common. People, they want something, but because they want it, they don't know how to get it. Or they don't do what the right thing to get it. You know that?
Yeah.
Right? You see the thing going
Yeah,
on?
the engineer.
So right away, very quickly, we really see a dynamic here in this guy.
Yeah.
Which by the way explains why he wants to speak so much. Yes, okay,
Yeah.
so what can we ask him?
If you see any, I don't know, contradiction, but
Well, I tell you, when I don't know what word to use, I don't specify like contradiction.
any problem.
What?
Problem.
Exactly, I
Okay.
make it very general. I say, do you see any problem? You know, in that
Yeah.
system. I use that, this way it's good. First of all, I don't have to think and to define something, you know, it's easier. Second, I'm gonna see what he's gonna come up with. The way he will say it will reveal something, right? So very often we'll use, in those very wide words. Like, you see any
problem, issue.
Yeah, so go ahead. How are you gonna ask him? Tell me.
Can you see any issue in what you said?
Okay, go ahead.
Can you see any issue in what you said?
Yes.
What is it? What is it?
The fact that I want the result, and it doesn't allow me to get it. Because I'm too emotionally obsessed, so I have no free capacity to stick to logic.
You heard that?
He don't have capacity.
Just speak louder. He doesn't have what?
Capacity to get the result.
Yes. Why?
Because he wanted too much.
Because you want too much, okay? Alright, so at least that's good. We have a clear problem. He sees it, you know, but he sounds he has the same coach as you, but you know. But he sees a problem. So what do we ask him now?
I would ask if he can see the solution, how to escape.
Okay, you want to propose him?
Yeah, an hypothesis to
Okay.
to look.
How are you going to ask him that?
Yeah, like at the beginning, can you see a way to jump out of this problem?
Let's go.
Do you see a way to jump out of this problem?
Yes, I should give up the idea of result.
And what?
would happen if you give the idea a result?
Now
Now you have, okay.
I have to avoid it. Okay.
No, just-
Make it short.
You're always nervous like this? Okay, just take it.
Yeah.
So you have to, okay, one possibility is say, you look at the consequences, right? If you give a result, what would happen? Another thing you can ask him is if that is possible. You see? Again, you go to the consequence,
Yeah.
but you can go already to the antecedent. When somebody proposes you something, before trying to see what would happen if you want to do this, you can say, well, is it possible? See, always two possibilities. I call it before and the after. The condition or the consequence. And is it possible deals with the condition,
Yes.
right? So you prefer to go on the consequence or on the condition?
On the condition.
Prefer to go on the condition?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you ask him then?
Is it possible for you to give up with the result?
To give up, it's not so much the results.
Think
It's
with the
the
desire.
desire of result, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
Yeah.
so how are you going to ask him? Tell me.
Is it possible for you to get rid of this desire? The desire of the result?
Yeah, give me the whole question, complete. It's going to be nice, clean, complete. Ask it again.
Is it possible for you to get rid of this desire of result?
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Is it possible for you to get rid of this desire of result?
It's difficult.
Oh, wait, hold on. Well, first of all, did he answer you?
No.
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 So, if he doesn't answer you, what do you want to do?
To be answered. But I want him to answer.
You want him to answer. What are you going to do in order to do this?
I'm going to ask if he answered me.
Okay, you're going to say, like, how will you ask him that?
Do you answer me?
Yeah.
Did you answer me?
Okay, did you answer me, or did you think you answered me, right? Make it a bit
Yeah.
softer. Do you think you answered me? You know, it's a bit softer. Did you answer me? You know, so because you saw that between answering and thinking we did, there might be a gap. All
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right, good. Okay, ask him.
Do you think you answered me?
No.
Can you answer me?
Okay, you want
Or why?
again. You see, exactly. Well, again,
Okay.
you notice
Okay.
you want the result. Huh?
Yes.
Answer me.
Yes.
Or do you want to always, or you want to know why he did not answer you? That's again a choice. But always have these two things in mind. I can either ask him, the cause, or go to the consequence. Do you prefer to know why he did not answer you, or do you prefer to get the answer to your question? At this, each time, you always have generally these two possibilities: the cause or the consequence, the condition or the result. Always. So, what do you prefer to know at that time? That's a strategic choice. Huh? It's not right or wrong. So, you prefer to have the reason why he didn't answer you, or you prefer him to answer you?
I prefer him to answer me.
Okay. So, how are you going to do this? If you want him to answer you in general, what's the best thing to do? You know what is the best thing to do? If you want him to answer you now?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him if he want to answer this time.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's good. Ask him that.
But you didn't answer me. You want to answer me now?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you do?
I ask again.
Okay, ask again. Go ahead.
Is it possible for you to get rid of the desire of result?
No.
Okay. Now, difficult and generally is a way to hide no, but I don't want to accept it, right? You see?
Yes.
You know, it's horrible to say no, I cannot. So we say it's difficult. It sounds like yes, but you know, it's not yes, you see? The difficult is often a way to hide no. So it's preferred, to have no, right?
Yes.
So, no, it's not possible for him. So, what do we ask him?
What? Or we can go back if he has got another hypothesis to get rid, to jump out of this loop.
Yeah? Why would you want another hypothesis?
Because he cannot. He said that he cannot deal with this.
Okay, now
this
this,
hypothesis.
what was his first hypothesis?
The first hypothesis was we give up with the result,
Okay.
with the desire of result.
Okay, but
he cannot. So let's try another hypothesis.
Okay, but so we have
This is a possibility.
Okay, this is impossible. Okay, huh? So how are you going to ask him that? What will you ask him?
Have you got another hypothesis?
Yeah.
If this one is impossible.
Okay, so let's first go chronologically first.
Yes, but I was thinking about another hypothesis, another question.
Oh, you prefer asking, what do you
No,
want
I
to
was
ask?
wondering no, I cannot.
Oh, you mean,
Where is what's the reason?
wait, you want to explore more that
Yeah.
impossibility before giving it up, moving to something else?
Yes.
Yes, okay, why not? There's always this possibility. Do you think case closed, finished, let's move on? Or let's examine.
Yeah.
So you prefer to examine more this one.
Yes.
What do you want to ask him?
Why it is impossible?
Okay.
The reason for
Okay.
this impossibility.
Make the question, tell me.
Why it is impossible for you to get rid of your desire,
Which desire?
of the result?
See, the question...
I have to repeat it.
Yeah, see, the questions have to be clean. Just make it, it's aesthetics.
Yeah.
Tell me the whole question. Yes, it's got to be full. You got to present. See, already the guy, you provoke chaos in his head. So give him a chance. Give him the full question. If you want to ensure him to answer, you have a clean, complete question where there's no way to escape. So go ahead.
Why is it impossible for you to get rid of this desire of result?
Beautiful. Go.
Why is it impossible for you to get rid of this desire of result?
Because I don't know how to do it. I have no hypothesis for this.
So what do we do?
We should look for another hypothesis.
Well,
I
see,
don't know.
well, okay, let me give you a trick. If somebody, there's a principle that this kind of problem, typical, anybody has done this once in his life. Anybody once in his life has found a way to not listen to his desire about something. You believe it?
Yeah.
Huh? Otherwise, I mean, this guy, he sees something, he takes it. Right? He sees a pastry in the baker, he just takes it. He sees anything, So he must have resisted. Or he wanted to pee and he didn't wait, he did it on the floor instead of going to the toilet, So there must be something in his life, and now he doesn't know. He thinks it's impossible. So we have to wake up in him the memory and the trust that this is possible.
How to wake him up?
You see?
Yeah.
So when you hear it something like that, I don't know, you have to know by definition that it's not possible. Right? But that's the way he thinks about it. For him, it's not possible to resist desire because he has constructed this huge thing by desire in his head. But we know that there is some possibility, even though difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
You okay with that?
Yes.
That's a technical thing I have when people say it's impossible. I ask myself, does it make sense that it's not possible? It's hard, okay. Impossible, no. And since it's for him, in his head, a representation of something impossible, let's explode that thing, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah, yes, I see.
So, what could we ask him? To explode that concept he has, a rigid vision of himself. You don't know how to ask that.
No, ever happened in your life that you have resisted to a desire?
Okay, very nice. Huh? Okay, so, go.
Have ever happened in your life that you resisted to a desire?
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you, what have you
Yeah,
done?
exactly. Let's go into some concrete situation. Maybe we'll get an insight from it. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what have you done?
No, wait, the question is not complete. What
Uh,
have you done?
for resisting your desire.
Nice.
What did you do for resisting your desire?
I just calm down.
Okay.
So what did he say?
He calmed down.
Calm down, right?
Calm down.
So yeah, calm down. So what does it tell us about his usual mental state?
He's now posed.
Huh? Nervous, excited, right? You know? You take Valium or something, right? You know this guy. He's nervous. You can ask him as well. Yeah, but let's say. So what do you want to
At
ask
this
him?
point, I can make him realize that he's usually nervous.
So what would you like to ask him?
On the other hand, you are usually nervous. Are you usually nervous?
So therefore, yes.
Never.
Are you? But in this case, I would not put the word. Maybe I would ask him.
How?
Then, if you have to calm down, How are you? Because it might be interesting to see which word he's going to use. You see,
Yeah.
rather than putting nervous. No, I'm not nervous. Maybe he won't like. Let's see. What word he would use, right? You see.
So I would ask, if you need to calm down, in which state are you usually?
Very good. Go ahead.
If you need to calm down, in which state are you usually?
Excited.
Okay. I'm gonna ask, why are you usually excited?
Yeah, go ahead.
And why are you excited?
Usually.
Are you usually excited?
Because when I want something, I anticipate it. It makes me excited.
So, what do we know about this guy?
But he wants the future present.
Yeah.
He jumps in the future and
He
he
jumps.
wants.
Yes, he wants the permanently. He wants the future.
Yeah.
So, what's his relationship to the present? Does he like it? Does he like the present?
No.
No. No wonder he's nervous. Because he lives in the present, but he can't take it. Right?
Yeah.
I can imagine indeed in a consultation when you have to stay with people, be present to them, how difficult it is for him. He wants always to be 3 steps ahead.
Yes.
Right? So what do we ask him?
I would ask what's the problem with the present.
Nice, go ahead. What's wrong with the prayer?
What's wrong with the present?
Well, nothing wrong. It's just when I think of the future, I anticipate it. And if I think of my desire, I anticipate the future, then I'm excited.
Do you notice what he has done now?
He just didn't answer.
He didn't answer. You see, we know we're touching something now there.
And
His relation to the present is a real problem. It's the first time he really totally
Yeah.
Denied, and you know, added the words to deny. So, you know, you got something here.
Yeah.
Huh? Let's go for the blood here.
So he's avoiding the question. I have to.
So what are you gonna ask him?
Do you think you answered the question?
Go ahead.
Do you think you answered my question?
Yes.
Okay. He's confirmed. It's worse than we thought.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Because the other time when he said it, he admitted. Now
Yes.
he won't admit. That means, wow, he's putting on the fortress, you know? Yes?
Yes.
So, well, now we need a new strategy on this business. Yes. We need to bring in the heavy artillery here. So, what are you going to ask him? See, he has a problem. At the same time, it's emotional, but it's cognitive. I mean, there's something in his head that is not, you know, he's not getting, right? It's not totally, he's not getting. It's not fully like, when people do this, totally logical, especially this guy that by talking to him, he sees rather logical.
Yeah.
It means it's not totally cognitive. That means there is a cognitive dissonance someplace. So let's try to reestablish slowly, rationally, what is the logic of this, you know, how we came to this conclusion. He has a problem with the present. How could you do this?
Okay. How can I deal with him now? Or
Yeah,
how I have
yeah.
to
How are we going to do this to reconcile him with the problem that we're facing?
Yes, okay. We know that he needs to calm down, and when he calms down, he gets.
No, just stick on the time problem, you know.
Okay.
That's the present.
Yeah, the
future.
present.
Problem, present, future business. Or you don't see how to do it.
He said that he answered me, and it is not.
Yes, I know, but we have to reconstruct for him what is this about the present. For example, I would ask him, are you always trying to anticipate the future? Right?
Now, I said once a step back.
Yeah, we go
Okay.
back at it so he sees the problem. Because right now he
Okay,
doesn't
I would
see,
say
doesn't want to
why
see.
what is in the future that you like so much?
We just want him to see. See?
Uh-huh.
You know? Or you can, okay, what, I tell you, I'll tell the strategy I was proposing, and you can propose the one you propose. I was proposing to say, do you realize that you always anticipate the future? Suppose he says yes. Say, yeah, but then do you like the present? If you always want to be projected in the future. Then you would show. But you were proposing something else. What is it?
And that is what is in the future that you like so
That
much?
you like so much. Okay, whichever. Which one do you want to prefer? You decide. Want to go with this one?
Yeah.
Okay, go with this one.
So what you can see in the future that you like so much?
Yes.
What you can see in the future that you like so much?
Look at his eyes. You see where he's
Yeah,
looking?
yeah.
You see where he's looking?
The future.
Exactly. Yeah, wow. Woo, he's fascinated, you know? You know? You guy's a visionary. Woo. So,
Should I
What is he
reveal
doing?
the time or not?
well, basically there
I'm
he's
going to
gone.
reveal the time because I don't know how
Well,
to do
the point is now he's gone, you see? Your question, just it's the first time it takes so long, his eyes are over there, and you see the heavy emotional thing about the future. You know, he's not answering you, he's gone. Oh, he's do orbit.
I would make him realize that he's usually very quick in answering, and now he's taking long.
Yeah, how are you going to, okay, go ahead. How would, no, tell me first, how are you going to do this?
Do you notice what you're doing?
Yeah, be more specific.
Do you notice that you are waiting longer than before?
Okay, good, go ahead.
Do you notice that you are waiting longer than before in answering me?
Yes.
Why? Why?
Because I don't know.
Wow, you know, that guy, you know, you see, he took a shot in the brain here, right? I don't know, you know, he looked like a boxer after, you know, the 10th round, you know. What? Are we in Chapelle here, you know? You see this effect
yes.
in the mind, you know? Amazing, huh? Some stupid question that people,
Well, I don't know, and so I would propose, if you don't know, maybe nothing.
What? It's very esoteric. The guy's in a bad shape already. Tell him that. If you don't know, maybe nothing. Try something for the people, you know. Give me. What can you ask him?
But if he doesn't know about the future, maybe he know about the present, what's wrong, and try again there.
No, he's not. He's gonna. You see, denied. No, but just ask him. So you do have a strong attachment to the future,
But you don't know why.
Never mind the why. We're not going to get into that. That's because we want to go back to the present. You see, as a problem with the present. Just you know.
Okay. Because he's not seeing the problem, and we want him
Yeah,
to see
we
the
want him
problem.
to see that he has a
Okay.
problem with the present. Yes, that's our purpose.
Okay. That,
You have a strong attachment to the future. You expect a lot from the future. You know something, and then we'll go back to the present right after. You see. But remind him, if you're okay, that the future for him, that's pie in the sky, you know?
Do you expect anything from the future?
Okay, good, go ahead to that. Go ahead, let's try.
Or have you got any expectation?
First one's good, you expect things from the future.
Do you expect something from the future?
Yes.
Or what?
Good things.
You see?
An example.
No, you see how big it is? Good things, like it's Santa Claus.
General,
Future is Santa Claus, you know? Wow, it's so huge, you go, good things, you know? It's not success, it's not money, it's not a wife, it's not good things. It's everything. You guys greedy, you know?
Yeah.
So what are you gonna ask him?
If you see any problem in...
No, it's too early, it's too early. You see nothing at this point. That's simply, well, you expect a lot from the future, you know? Simply that. Want him to see the heaviness of his expectation, right? Just, yes,
Yeah.
you expect a lot from the future. Right? Then we'll go back to the present. Therefore, that's what the present stinks.
Okay, yeah.
You know? Yeah.
No. So you expect a lot from the future.
Yes.
You see this? Eh?
Everything.
Everything.
No.
No, but everything confers. You know, we're entering touchy grounds. Okay. So now go for the kill. He expects a lot from the future.
Does it mean that the present is not giving you what you want?
Go. But repeat, like you retake the whole thing, so
Okay.
you really can enjoy the music. If you expect so much
from
from the
the
future,
future.
you know, like, yes, you know.
Does it mean that
Okay,
the
good.
present is not giving you what you want?
Exactly. Go ahead.
If you expect so much from the future, does it mean that the present is not giving you what you want?
Yes, I think you can say.
Yeah.
So now let's work on the present, see? You know? That
Okay.
present he doesn't like. He finally admitted, let's work on it. Now we can ask him.
What's wrong or what's
Exactly.
present? And what's wrong with the present? Because maybe for
Yeah, he said nothing. Yeah.
nothing
He does
wrong,
that.
nothing wrong with the present.
Let's see what's going to do now. Repeat it, he forgot.
What's wrong with the present?
You hear this? You see?
Yeah.
And then,
Logically, the problem is that I don't get. In present, I cannot get all my expectations. That I rely on the future.
let's try to enter more, yes?
What are your expectations?
No, no, then you go back to the future, no.
Uh,
What is it? You know?
So,
Ask him
what,
to
what are you
conceptualize.
missing now? Or,
Yeah, let's try that.
what
Yes, yes, let's try that. Yeah, that's nice.
Uh,
Try that, yes.
what are you missing right now?
Yes, it's again my desires that I don't fulfill.
Again, I didn't get.
I guess it's again my desires that I don't fulfill in the present. That what I have, or what I am, doesn't respond to what I want.
Look, what I am does not correspond to what I want. Where is the problem? You heard that? You heard that?
It's not what you want.
He's not what he wants. You know, it's himself the problem. He's not what he wants to be. See, we finally got out of the one thing, you know, about object, we realize it's him. He has a problem with himself today.
Okay.
You know, he wants to be Batman. You know this?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they call Batman syndrome, right? Mother Teresa, whoever you want, you know? Yes, so let's go with that, you see?
Okay.
What do you want to ask him?
I forgot the answer.
Well,
The
he
last
says, I
one.
am not.
Yes,
Uh,
this is the
so-
constant. I'm not what I am.
I am not, no, what I would like.
Yes, what I would like to.
So
What's the person you would like to be? Or what you would like to be?
Okay, you want to ask him that? Let's go with that.
And what do you would like, or who would you like to be?
I'd like not to have the.
Stop him. See, he's in a negation. Not to have. See?
So I should ask for a positive
Ask
answer.
him, I'm not asking what you don't want, see? What you want, see?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to admit, you know, what is it he wants to be. See? Yeah, and that's typical negation. That's why people deny. Yeah, that's why, you know?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, put the negative form.
Yeah, so as soon as you hear people logically or not, stop them now, because they realize otherwise you just drown, right? So I'm asking what you don't want, what you're not, what you want to be, who you want to be, yeah? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not asking you what you don't want to be, but what you want to be.
You heard that? You heard how he answered?
Yeah,
Big breathing. See, we're really touching the chord. Yes.
I want to be the person without. Again.
Hey? Huh?
Yeah,
So, we're going to stop here.
How you say?
The next, the sequence, the next. The commercials and then the next.
Stay in the same channel.
So, any question, any comment on what we've been doing? You notice, observe anything, have any question? Yes.
Seems that the philosopher has problems in problematizing.
Who has problems in
The
filming?
philosopher. The philosopher, sorry.
You're speaking about Lucas. He has problems to problematize.
To problematize.
Why do you say that?
Because as soon as he gets an answer from Alexei, he has difficulties taking like one term from the answer and to make it a question.
Yeah. But maybe then that's not, if that's the case, I would not call that so much problematizing, but hearing. You know, like the thing on the desire, that was very striking, right? But it's really on attentive listening, the tiger position, right? You're watching any element you can use. And that's why, again, I don't like it, you know, oh yeah, express yourself, tell me everything, let the person speak. But to really hold the reins tight, so you're ready to use any element that you can, boom, go back with, right? You know? So what you describe here, it's more sharp listening, you know? And not be hesitant on, don't multiply ideas to one idea. One, first one. You agree?
Yes.
Yes.
I was thinking that there was a sort of circle about the present and the future in questioning. So maybe it would be better to propose what kind of person you are, like what kind of person is who lives in the future.
Yeah.
And then he will.
Yeah, okay, that's
an
enough.
idea. And
Yeah.
then
You could ask him to conceptualize. Well, sure.
Is it possible to reach your desires if you live somewhere?
Yeah. Except the only problem is that, see, you want him to see what he doesn't want. He's going to be happy to speak about the future, you know. He's going to build, in French we say, he's going to build castles in Spain, you know. You know, he's going to tell you all these projects and blah blah, and he's going to become president in Russia in 10 years, and you know, who knows, you know. But the point, we want to show him that he has some strange relationship to the present. I mean, he is nervous. We discover he's nervous. He cannot stay put with people in his job. So, you see, so that's, I agree, you could project the future, but we want him to reconcile with the present. And that's why, even when we went back to the future, it was to come back to the present, you see. Yeah, you see? You know, to reconcile him. That he sees his warped relationship to the present, which is very common. People who are into desire and will generally have a problem with the present. Both the present and presence, you see, it's the same thing. Present and presence. And that's why, now that we've seen when he was doing a consultation, earlier as a philosopher we saw him, you were not here, but he was too much ahead, trying to be ahead of the person he was speaking to. He was in the future. Yeah? And that's why the reason was not always there. Any other question, comment? Yeah, Ed?
I like that face that you said, now you smell blood, and now the moment that he realized the problem. And what you did, or that Luca do, or Luca did, was to repeat it. Repeating in a way. Actually not asking for something new, but repeating.
Yeah,
that is one way. Other way is to let people see the problem.
Yes, to echo. You know, the echo is a very important concept, right? You echo what people are saying, so they become conscious. The words are out of their mouth, they're into somebody else's mouth, they echo. But some people, it's funny, when they don't want to see, even though you repeat what they say, make them see, they'll deny. Sometimes it's amazing. So I say, you see, now I'm going to note, you see? I'm going to write down. Just you know, since you don't believe, I show you, you know. Any other comment or question? Yeah, was I?
Question. You spoke earlier in the dialogue about the little words you can add in your question to arrange
Soften.
the form, yeah, to soften.
Yes, yes.
Like, for example, what is your main desire?
Oh no, here it's to,
Yeah, this kind of-
main was to avoid, you know, the wishy-washy multiplicity, but you oblige the person to make a choice, see? When, for example, I ask something to make it softer, it's like, you don't know, what is the question? The, it's heavy, it's determined. It implies like, you know, heavy connotation. Well, do you have a question? And, you know, of course in your head as a philosopher, it's the question for some reason, but don't present it this way. Say, do you have a question? You have something you would like to ask. You make it softer. There are moments to make things softer, moments to make things tighter. You see, it's the principle of horseback riding. Sorry for the client, but you know, the horse. This moment, you tighten the rein to direct him. You know, and this moment you let go. You know, take the to speed, right? You push a bit, but you let him get ahead, right? Any other question or comment on a little word?
When will we continue?
When will we continue? Well, until Sunday noon. Now, I would like to ask you, because now, I would like to reflect a little bit about, you know, people now, some know a bit more, some it's new. What do you think is a difficulty you've encountered in yourself and other people to do this consultation, right? Can somebody say what you find difficult, what you observe as a difficulty? Who can say? Yeah, Mehdush, go ahead.
I have a question.
Just speak a bit loud because you're far, yeah?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
If the client starts the question with what do I do, not with why. Yes.
I don't answer, wait, I don't know. The client says, what do I do?
Yes, what do I do? Some things.
I mean, his initial question
Yes.
is about doing something.
Yes.
Like, should I get married or something like that, you mean?
Yeah, what do I do? Have many contradiction in my life. What do I do with many contradiction
Okay.
in my life?
I'll give
For
you-
example, yes, for example,
Yeah.
maybe she or he don't ask why I have
Give me a concrete question you're speaking about. They would ask what?
a concrete. What do I do with contradiction with married or not married?
Okay, should I get married or not?
Yes.
Yes?
I ask, as a counselor.
Marriage. Yeah, I still want to know. Is it a question of the type, should I get married or not married? Is it that kind of question or no?
No.
Okay, then give me an example, very precise. Don't explain, just an example of this question, yes.
What do I do with my paradox in my life?
Well, I'll tell you what, I never met anybody asking such question about the paradoxes in his life. That's an intellectual asking this kind of question. Generally, don't do that. No, you have people already, if they know it's a paradox, maybe they don't even need me. What I have is people who are saying, I don't understand why people don't like me. Yes?
Yes.
And then we will discover, that this person is desperate to get loved by people, but it does everything to chase people away. And then we'll discover it's a contradiction, not even a paradox, a contradiction, because it's not conscious. If it was a paradox, it would be conscious. So no, so this will work it out and discover what's going on with this person. But I never have something said about the paradox of his existence. That's a very intellectualized question. I don't get that. Yeah. But what we get, yes, should I get married or not? It's a contradiction. I want to get married, I want to get married. Should I do according to me or to what my mother wants? This you get. So there is always contradiction. I don't call them paradoxes because a paradox means consciousness. If there's a paradox, means that you're conscious of what's going on. Generally, purely, and you have some idea about a solution. But a contradiction, you have a tension, some issue, a problem. And this is the case with everyone. When an example here, the contradiction in our client is a time contradiction, right? It's a very classical one. You know, some people, they cannot stand the present. They have a problem with the present or the future. Some others, it's the past. For example, I was listening the other day to the grandmother story of someone, and the grandmother's story really smells of nostalgia, you know? And when I was a little girl, you know, and nostalgia, right? So, because basically people have a relationship to time. There are people who are in the future. There are people who are in the past, and there are people who are in the present. Yeah? And all these, there's not a perfect position. People in the future, they have a hard time with the present. So are nostalgic. But people who are in the present, they have another type of problem. They're too much in the immediate. Right? So what I'm saying is, we're all handicapped. Everybody's handicapped in relationship to time. So the person says, I'm perfectly balanced, blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. You know? We're all, just the way our body is always asymmetric. No one can claim I'm perfectly centered. Anybody is asymmetric. You know, it's a biological fact, if I may say so. When you run, you start with one foot, always the same one, right? Because you're asymmetric, you know. So it's the same thing with the mind. It's the same thing with the, you know, way we think. It's asymmetric, and there are certain. That's why it's so important to know this time issue, because there are a number of things where people articulate some fundamental axis on which people articulate their thinking. Time is one. Another one will be individual and social. I don't know if I don't have it here, but I wrote these books of philosophy for children. In fact, in Persian, I think this one is published, where I show the big antinomies: subjective, objective, me or other, time and eternity. And I show how we all are determined by those axes, right? And so when you listen to someone, you decode what's going on with these little things that tell you their stories, their thoughts, and you realize how they function, you know? And you want to make them conscious. And here it's very visible. The issue between present and future is fundamental. Now, it's not in itself that. There are, of course, other aspects, like the desire grafting on it. So that's the point. But this contradiction you want people to see. But normally they don't see it. But what they see, like him, he says, I'm too impatient. You know? So you want to identify. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else has a question? You ready? Yeah. Nelson?
In this case, we see the problem is the future, so we go back to the present. Can it also be when the problem is the future that you have to go back to the past, or it's always via the present?
Well, surely it's not so much. Well, sometimes it is, but I didn't see anything pointing toward the past in the speech. You know, some people it's clear. Again, you know, you listen to people. Some people they like to speak about the past or something evoking the past. Then you know the past is an issue, right? But generally. It's mainly the relationship to the present, unless you hear something else, because we are here in the present, right? And so, by default, if I don't hear anything about the past, and I hear the future is future past, or it's past future, sorry, present, or past to the present, right? And sometimes, of course, it's the present that's the problem. You know, some people cannot project themselves in anything, or some people, for example, will you hear them, for some reason they really want to deny the past. For example, somebody comes and, I remember it was in Holland, and says, what is your problem? The problem, she says, is how can I get rid of my parents' influence, right? And this smells of the past like, you know, crazy. That's what it could be. Parents, grandparents, blah, blah. It has a lot to do with the past. You know, childhood and stuff like that, right? Now you have to examine it, because then it can be other tricky things. But in general, it's that. And that person, of course, it's how can I, you know, I have a hard time being here because I'm stuck in the past. You know, I'm still a little girl. She was about 38 or something, but she was still a little girl. And that was her problem. And so how can she deal with that? And she wanted everything, the funny thing, to be not like her parents. But the funny thing is, when I questioned how her parents functioned, we saw how she functioned. You know, she was like a twin with her mother. You know, that she was not happy about that because she looked a lot like her mother. So they said, so what's wrong with looking like your mother? You know. But the point is that she had real issues about the past. You know, through the ancestor, through the parents or whatever, right? So you hear this just by people you see. But for example, in talking to him, I heard nothing referring to the past. I didn't think the past was an issue. But in the present, yes, he says, I don't know what to do now, with doing my job.
But this could also be caused by the past that he was,
but of course, but in this business you go with what you hear. Of course, I could say, if I was psychoanalyst, I would say, okay, tell me your childhood. Tell me, did you love your mommy? Were you raised by your daddy? I don't know, but that's not our business. Our business is now what it could be based on certain, psychological principles. Why not? I got nothing in psychoanalysis, but that's not our job. Our job is we listen how the people construct their thinking, and we go with that. We have nothing about the past. The past is not an issue. A priori. See? So don't make your life complicated about what it could be. What you see, I like this American expression, what you see is what you get. Don't make things more complicated. That okay?
Yeah, it was a little bit just to anticipate of what was going to come after if it would have continued.
You're saying like him, you want to anticipate.
I guess.
Let me see. Yes, Silke.
What would be an example then for a problem with the present?
Start again slowly.
What would be a problem for me looking at future and past? It's very clear, but what's like? Can you give an example
of what?
Of having a problem with the present.
Of somebody having a problem in the present.
Yes.
Well, the people that will describe. For example, a young woman. She has a shopping compulsion, right? She always needs something immediate gratification, right away. And by the way, why shopping? It's very easy. See, already it's more future. You don't get it right away. I don't know if you do this, but sometimes, ladies, men can do it too, but it's a more common thing with women. When they're depressed, they don't feel good, they go shopping. Why shopping? Because shopping is simple. You enter in a store, pull out your credit card, and within 30 seconds you get something to feel good. Drinking is of the same nature, right? So anything that's very immediate, these are people that are, stuck, they have a hard time getting out of the present. They will say, I do things and then I regret or stuff like that, So that's a typical present problem. It's immediate gratification. Yeah? Okay. And then they're stuck. They cannot have any distance to their immediate. You do this sometimes for shopping?
I did.
You did. You just finished. Okay. So, all right. Yes.
You said attachment to the past could be in a negative way, like how do I get rid of the influence of my grandparents, whatever. Could it be attachment like in a positive way, like I was a great champion, I was a winner, and life goes on, and that was good times back there, it's not good times now.
But generally, okay. Nostalgia can go different ways. See, I like the Spinoza idea, is not how much you relate to it, but the fact you're obsessed by it. The fact you're obsessed by the past, either liking it or, not long ago I was doing a consultation, and a woman, she was speaking about the past. I said, oh yeah, I know what you mean. My grandmother in the house, by the river, baking cookies. How do you know? Because it's so banal, that's just something like that. She thought I had telepathy or something. No, it's such a classical story, If it's not that, it looks like that, But you thought, she says, you're a witch or something? She told me. Oh, because I've heard those stories so many times. But every time somebody tells you that kind of story, they think they're so special, you know, that their grandmother is so special and they're so special. But, you know, I've questioned people now for I don't know how many years, how many times I heard exactly that story. If it is not exactly that one, it's a slight modification, you know. It's just what changes is the hairdo of the grandmother, depending on the country she lives in, and what kind of cookie she bakes, but it's basically the same thing, you know.
What do you do
So,
with that?
what?
But what do you do with that?
What do you do with that? Well, first of all, you want the person to be conscious of that.
Mm-hmm.
Second, you want the person to see that for people that are think this is the greatest thing on earth, and they have to realize that Adam and Eve left the earthly paradise for a reason, right? Because there's a moment where you cannot stay in the earthly paradise, and you have to grow up, right? You have to be in that because they're going to be misery. And these people generally who are into nostalgia, they're miserable. They don't like the world. Because the world is not like it was at the home when I was little, I was so cute, and it was so perfect, and God loved me, and then there was no snake yet, you know? No, there's a complaint behind, right? And the only thing they do is just withdraw, and okay, so. And then the others that hate it, you know, they have this terrible thing. Okay, grow up, you know, it's only your mother, you know, don't worry, right? And maybe you are like her, and so what? You know, in the case of this Dutch lady, so you're like your mother, so you know, what's so horrible about that, you know? You know, is your mother a criminal or something, right? So it depends how the relationship, but first you want to be conscious about this, then you want to look at the consequences, and you want to reconcile. You know, in one case reconcile with the horrible past, and the other one reconcile with the horrible present. But the problem of this is that there's always something beautiful, something wonderful, in this case, the future. But the problem is this wonderful thing makes the rest look ugly. That's the problem. Otherwise, it would be no problem. He's fascinated by the future. But this fascination with the future is used to deny, to devalue something else, in this case, the thing, right? It's like perfection, right? And I'm thinking since you're Russian. I'm going to Russia. No, it's the obsession with perfection. Now, some people say, perfection, that's good because it makes you do things. Well, wait, but the main thing I see with perfection is people think they're shit. So why are they shit? Because perfection is so perfect, that compared to it, I'm nothing. It's a very Dostoevskian, you know, Dostoevsky does it very well, right? And you see this, these people are really petrified. Like students in university, they're there. They're scared of saying anything because they want to be perfect. And to show you a funny story, you know, I asked him a question, Neznayo. I don't know, you know, Neznayo. So I said, what's going on? I said, look, I want to ask you a very simple question. How much is 2 plus 2? This is university, huh? You know what she answered? Neznayo. Ooh, 2 plus 2, you know? But it's amazing, just because the idea of making a mistake, you're terrified. But of course, professors play that game. It's never just the person, you know, play that game. Anyway, so all these things, in a way, are not a problem. To be a perfectionist is not a problem if it doesn't have a pathological side to it. Why not be a perfectionist, you know? It's not. Anyway, so all these have concrete representation. It's not simply, and that's the whole point of philosophical practice. We use philosophical concepts, antinomies, issues, you know, time problems, but connected to existential concrete issues. Yes, Ed? Oh, sorry. Zona was waiting for a while. Yes.
I have a question.
Can somebody turn on the light? Yeah.
I have a question because I noticed that I have a problem constructing my first question after client asks.
So he asked you his question, and you have a problem with the first question, yeah?
Okay. And today, I think you said that it would be wise or smart to ask him why I have this question, or what's the reason for this question.
Yeah, well that's one. See, it's like in chess. You play chess? No. You have what you call entrées. Entrances. What do you? Debuts. Okay, let's use a French word. Entrée. You have a number of classical ones, right? You know them, so you don't even think about it. You know, unless you have a reason, you go. Now, I'll give you the ones I use. Either somebody has a question, first of all. Well, why is that a problem? Sometimes it sounds very strange. A guy comes to tell me, okay, what's my question? Is, you know, I say, what's his problem? He says, my problem, I don't have a job. I say, so, what's the problem? He looks at me like that. Because for him it's obvious it's a problem that he doesn't think it. Yeah, I say, what's the problem? I say, I have a friend, so he looks at me funny. He says, you know, I have a friend, and that friend has an obsession that they don't force her to go to work because she wants to be, you know, left alone, right? You know, she prefers to live on nothing than be forced to work. So, but you visibly, so tell me why you want to work. You know, why is that a problem? Because your wife wants you to work, because you have no money, because you're bored, because you have no statute. I have no clue. Where is the problem? But he had never thought, you know, for him it was obvious that what was the problem, you know? And to be so. Why is that a problem? Or what's the reason? You know, so there you question the foundation of the question. That's one possibility, right? Second possibility is to say, like we said, like what he proposed, well, do you have a solution to it? Do you have a hypothesis? Because people, they get so nervous that they don't dare answer their own question because they got to be sure. You know, they got to be sure. They want a sure thing. You know, something absolute. So I say, well, just do you have any we use hypothesis? Do you have any hypothesis? And then you'll get a hypothesis. You work on it, right? Sometimes, more rare. People ask a question that says, do you think this sounds like a real question? Remember, I once had this Portuguese professor of philosophy who, you know, wanted to play to show that, you know, sometimes people want to show that, you know, I can play this game, I can bullshit you, you'll see nothing. So his question is, you know, why I don't like going to the swimming pool? Right? That was very smart, you know. So ask him, do you think it's a real question? You know? So, but generally the main two are, you look at the reason of the question, or you look at just some answer to the question. They're the two most easy.
But then you take a concept that he enters in his answer, if he gives a concept, and then you work on that?
Yeah, exactly. Either you investigate more the cause, you know, or the hypothesis, like, what do we do here? He gave a hypothesis, and we went to examine it, to discover that it was impossible, right? So at the moment we hesitated. First we thought, we give it up. We say, okay, now let's try a second hypothesis, because you get to examine different hypotheses. Or finally, after reflection, we decided to investigate that impossibility, which paid off, I think, was a good move, you know, investigate. So it's always a choice. When you reach a moment, you investigate, doesn't work, do you try to investigate why it doesn't work and maybe it works? Or you say, okay, fine, so let's move to something else. But it doesn't really matter because, you know, it's just, the important of all this is to have the people thinking. And if you have them thinking, you're going to get some meat, always. So I wouldn't worry, did I do the right strategy? Did I do the right... Get people thinking, I guarantee you it pays off, you know. Statistics, you'll get something. Yeah. But don't worry about, you know, did I ask? The main thing is to, you know, it's by you keep pushing people, you know, you start getting, but of course you have to hear when there's something juicy and then you pick it up, you know, go with it. Yeah. Anyone else identify some difficulty in the consultation? For example, remember you thought there was something difficult since you were pragmatic something. By seeing what we did you identify something that's useful in relation to a difficulty? Yeah. Can you say what it is?
Well, what I noticed that you listened to his question, the original question, and didn't go for the solution at all immediately. Like, the question is the question. It's not about the real solution. It's about what caused the question to come up.
Well, we did go with hypothesis. He asked them a proposal to answer, which would be to, what do you control emotion, desire, something like that. Yes.
How can you do to, and he answered, calm down.
Yeah, to calm down, yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's not like this is the way, this is the thing that you should do. This only shows that that's why you don't do that, because it's impossible.
Now, first he should calm down, but to calm down he has to give up desire. This he cannot do, right?
Yeah.
We did examine what he could do.
Okay.
Yeah. But is there one type of question which you find surprising that you wouldn't do? You find it a bit surprising in what we have done? Did you identify some questions? Oh, that's surprising for you. Or no, it's not clear.
No, I got it.
But see, by the way, that's what's interesting to this, what we've done, you know, this coaching. You know, when I proposed yesterday, some people were not too hot about it. But I like it because we discuss, we think about it, what's going on here, we exchange. You know, you propose, I propose, you know. Apparently, Dimitri, you were not too hot about the coaching thing.
No.
Yeah? Why is that?
Not.
You weren't too hot about the functioning with coaching. Did you like it?
Yes, very.
Yeah, you liked it?
Because I think it's very useful. Kids can see and participate, and I think if we compare this with workshops, it's much more attention. It's not boring.
It's not boring, like the workshop.
No, I mean, for me, yes.
For you, yes, okay.
Maybe because it's maybe a question which proposed Alexei, because I'm Russian too. And
yeah, the same problem. Yes. All right. Okay, any other question or comment? Yes.
Do you suggest, what do you
A bit louder.
Yes. What do you suggest for beginners in consultation?
For billionaires?
Yes,
Beginners.
for
That's a problem. I never thought about that. I thought of a millionaires. For beginners, though. For beginners. For beginners.
For example, first, studying the sources, different sources, or practicing the philosophy. Because
Well, I tell you, what I suggest is to read Plato's early dialogues. That's what I suggest, first of all. That's what I learned, primarily, first of all, is reading. Now, for people that don't know much Plato, it's the early dialogues where Socrates plays a very important role. Later, it tends to disappear. There's more theorizing. But the early dialogues of Plato, it's very much Socrates questioning, like dialogues like Lysis, Lakis, you know, Euthyphro, right? Dialogue like this. Generally, you find them, they're called the early dialogues. In different countries, you should be able to find them under those names or something. They're short, they're not long, they're 20 pages dialogues, right? So I really suggest that you read this. The second thing, since you're asking while you're at it, we've been developing over this year a work group. We have started one in Russia, in Spain, and in Italy, where we are making exercises, you know, written exercises for people that we send. Then some people evaluate these exercises, and when people feel better, they can take part of the evaluation team, right? But to set up this thing that works, so we're trying to develop as well the distance learning. So by the way, the people that are interested, I know some here already participating in this, but the people who are not, if you're interested in participating in this network and do the exercises, just tell us, tell me, you know, or Isabel, and we'll see how we can integrate you. But it's some work to do. We send text as well with questions, you know, and people are supposed to answer the questions. So there's some gymnastics to do, right? So it's both some reading, some exercises, and it's possible you have a group. People can do exercise, but as well we've developed this workshop by Skype that we do through Skype at distance, because most people here are far. So, and some we organize workshops. So anyway, but if people are interested, just get in touch if you're not with us and see how, you know, you can participate to this work. But it's work, it's a practice, you know. It's yeah, you know, there's no other. It's like piano. You just got to do your, you know, I don't know the word in English. Rehearsal. Rehearsal. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I thought like it's really useful when you mention the typical issues.
What?
Typical issues.
Yeah.
Like time, like the devotion to perfection. Yes, there are some standard things that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And to me, at least, it could be useful to have a session or just a list of typical issues, so I have them in mind when I do consultation.
Yeah, well, you should look at the book they have in Norwegian, because you have these things there.
Barespør?
Like no, but the one about the psychological opposites, for example.
You wrote?
No, that I wrote.
Which one is that?
In French, it's called the Book of Psychological Opposites. There's the philosophical opposites and psychological opposites. Yeah.
Okay.
But beside this, I have some. You can look, for example, the thing I've written on antinomies. You know, it's in English. I think it's on my website. You can look on my website. I have things that can be helpful. You can read there. What is there? Any other question or comment?
Maybe we have more of that.
Wait, Ed, yeah?
I want to ask about anticipation.
Anticipation, yeah.
Yeah, because you stress often you have to be in the present, you get what you see, but you also just indicated your experience. You know from experience that something's happening. Your strategy is used, so I'm wondering, you should be in the present as a philosopher, but do you also have to look ahead a little bit or not? Or how does it work?
Well, yes, you look ahead, but the problem is that, see, one of the, when we do the training session, it's going to sound strange, but we teach people not to expect anything. Expecting is a big problem. Because you think you know, because you think, so that you're there, of course, you think a little bit. And see, and even if you have a hypothesis, it's okay, but leave it in the back of your head, right? Don't expect too much, but of course you do. So we found out that expectation is a big handicap, is a big problem. People expect too much, right? Then you think you know, then you think you know what's going to happen, and you don't listen. You got to have a bit of a, your mind has to be empty a bit to listen, right? Otherwise you're busy with your calculation. That's one comment that was made to our friend. He was thinking too much, you know? Again, people think I'm being ironical. I said you have to be stupid to do this job. Don't think too much, you know, let things come, right? You know? And it's funny, but it's, Kuzer calls it a docte ignorantia, the learned ignorance. It's not natural ignorance, it's learned ignorance. You have to become ignorant. But of course, the learned ignorance is not, in a way you can say it's not ignorant. It's a Socratic paradox about ignorance. Right? You have to learn to be ignorant. Don't you think you know? But at the same time, if you don't think you know, you have something there, but it's not in the forefront. You know?
If you know there are 10 main topics, you always come back.
Yeah, for example, or
this is topic number 5.
Yeah, or the fears. See, there's always a fundamental fear in the human soul. There are not so many of them. This is useful, for example. You know that it's a fear of death, fear of being alone, fear of not being loved, fear of not being recognized, fear of being useless, fear of being worthless, fear of having nothing. Basically, I'm sure that everybody's covered here,
I'm on the list.
Just pick it. Right?
I'm on the list, I just saw, I'm looking.
You saw yours? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, So any one of you here, you can, for fun, just try to identify which one. Now, maybe you have a few of them. Why not? It's not exclusive.
So death alone? What else? What is
to fear of death, fear of loneliness, fear of not being loved, fear of being useless, fear of being worthless, fear of having nothing, fear of not being recognized. I don't know, I never have a precise list, but it's roughly something like that, And if anybody's not on the list, please raise your hand.
And fear to be not listed.
You're not on the list? You're not on the list? You don't recognize any of one of them?
Just go in consultation.
You don't recognize any of them as being something haunting your soul? No?
I recognize the contrary.
The contrary of what?
Of being alone.
What? Oh, yeah. You don't. You fear of other people. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, you are. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
The perfection goes also here, or it's just...
Well, perfection is a fear of being worthless. Huh?
Oh, okay.
See, perfection is I call ghost concept. It's the shadow of nothingness, right? Just like for our friend, you know, loneliness, and it's going to sound strange to you, but the fear of other people is a fear of loneliness. It's the same thing. Opposite the point together. So you got yours then. Are you happy?
Very.
Okay, I was worried that I had an unsatisfied client in this room, you know. You know, so you can check it out. Now, don't try to say, yeah, but they're together. Of course, you can connect them, but try to find the one. And if you don't find, you think the different one, try one with the other with the other. Because you're not sure if your fear of being alone or the fear is to not being loved. So I give you a tricky use, very simple. I give you two lives, two possible lives. In one life, you're loved, but there's nobody. Like you're loved by some sailor who's gone overseas forever, you know, or astronaut. He's never there, but you're loved, right? He loves you, you love him, blah, 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 but nobody. Or, no love, but you're full of people, you have friends, you have a beer together, blah, lots of people. You know, which one? Some people will say, no, I prefer love, even though I never see my love. Others say, no. I prefer not to be loved, but I want people, right? So their second one is loneliness, the problem. First one is love, right? But there's always one which is stronger than the other. So try to identify. If you do this work on yourself, it's nice. It's already interesting. You can make statistics. Who has identified his category? Raise your hand. His category. Who has identified his category? Raise your hand.
Their category.
Well, I gave categories. Fear of death. Fear of not being loved, of loneliness, blah, blah, blah. Anybody didn't identify it? Raise your hand.
Their own category. No.
Yeah, their own category. Well, of course, the other, who cares about the others, you know.
No, I thought you. Okay.
Yeah, who has not identified his own category?
Did not.
No, so you did not?
Catholic.
Okay.
No, you did not?
No.
None of these things bother you?
Yes, I can
Which one
see
bothers you?
almost all of them. I don't know.
That's true.
All of them bother you?
No, yeah,
Life
at
might be
least a couple of them,
terrible.
yeah.
Right?
At least a number of them.
At least a number of
It
them.
would be hard choosing, I think.
They're choosing. They're choosing. Well, just pick two, for example, which would be leading contenders.
Worthless and loneliness?
Okay, let's go with that. So I propose one. You're worthless. Oh, wow, everybody is with you, wants to see you. Nelson. They go, Nelson. We want Nelson. But you're worthless. You know, Paris Hilton, yeah, you know. Worthless, but everybody wants to see you, to know you, blah, blah, right? Second, well, you're so full of wealth, you know, internal wealth and everything, but nobody knows you, nobody wants to see you. Which life do you prefer?
Okay, the last one you said.
You prefer the last one. So worthlessness is worse than loneliness.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Fun?
Yeah.
Okay. Fun. It's called a thought experiment, you know? All this is thought experiment, yeah?
The what?
Thought experiment. Yeah, experience of thoughts. A lot of the thing we're inviting people to do is little thought experiments, you know? And to see how you think, you know, and to check it out, yes.
And how about fear of death? You prefer to be dead and not wealthy? How you compare with fear of death?
Well, you want to compare death to which one?
As an example, worthless.
Worthless and death, okay?
Or useful. Useless.
Useless, what's worse? Okay, then I propose you two lives, right? Once, you'll be very useful. Very useful. Wow. But you're going to live only 10 years. 10 years to go, then you die. Second.
I understand it.
You're going to live 100 years. You're going to live for 100 years. What? but useless, like, you know, totally useless.
Okay.
Which one do you prefer?
Second.
100 years useless, yes? So definitely fear of death is your... But you knew that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yesterday.
You just wanted confirmation, yeah. Okay.
No, just interesting how you, it's about how we compare.
The tools.
It's the tools, kind of.
Yeah. You make little fairy tale, you know?
It's about timing, the timeline, yeah?
Well,
Fear of
death is interruption, right? So you give a short time span, right? You know? But some people would prefer to live 10 years and be, you know, recognized, blah, 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 blah. You know, unlike you, they would prefer that, than to live for 100 years, not being loved, worthless, and all that. It's, you know. Now, of course, you can tell me change your mind tomorrow, but in generally, this little thing, it works not bad. It generally hits this kind of thing, you know. That's existential choices, you know. What you have with Plato, the myth of air, about choosing a life, you know, choosing your life, your second life. Which second life would you choose? You know, but it creates a lot of fears, and for me, why it seems sometimes we're hard when we speak like this. We do this job here. It's hard because we're proposing really terrible things to people, like, you know, nobody loves you ever. You're all alone for 100 years. You know, it's crazy. But it's the point is that it's liberating. See, to think the unthinkable is liberating. First, it's, you know, like stuns you. It's strong, but it's liberating because all these things we have, all of us, in the back of our head. What do you think when I propose who wants to come here and nobody wants to come? You notice that? It makes no sense. People come for a seminar. You come all the way here, and I say, then who wants to come here? You know, I had to grab people, right? So it is that there is fear. Now, fear of what? You know? It makes no sense in the absolute. Or you could think, this is fun. I'm going to enjoy a little talk with Oscar. You know?
I know. What final goal with, when we're dealing with fears? It's to reconcile people with this. Or
well, first of all, is to look at it face to face. You know, and not look aside. Because that's the worst. You have fear of the fear. That's the most terrible. And that's what most human beings do. You have fear of the fear. That's the worst. Fear, that's okay. But fear of the fear, that's terrible. You go crazy because everything you do